Good Saturday morning, everybody. I hope we are having a great day. It is a little warm, but that's what to expect in the month of July. So, yeah, we are having a great day. Had a good weekend. I did figure out what all the blinging was last week. It was a setting that got turned on in the chat box that you see basically in this corner when I'm in the sewing view. I had a chat box and it decided to turn on blings for some reason. So hopefully we do not have a lot of noise happening in today's video because that was a little distracting. But I think we are going to have, excuse me, have a good day. It should be a lot of fun. Sewing today. I'm still working on some homework because I got to get these things done so I can get other things done. So I am still working on dragon fruit homework while my friend Steven is having his birthday bash pop-up sew day over on well, it's not on his channel, it is through his channel. He has a pop-up sew day happening, so chat's probably going to be a little bit lighter because most of y'all are over there. And to those of y'all who are over there, he told me something yesterday and told me to keep it a secret, so you'll have to get it out of me. Ha 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 ha. So there is that. In the chat so far, we have my friend Julie who says, "Hello, my friend." Hi, Julie. How are you? I'm trying to see how many people are actually lurking, which I'm okay with lurkers. It is great. It gives you somebody to sew with. Hello, Ingrid. How are you? So, as I said, I'm working on dragon fruit homework. I have a couple blocks from month one left. They are the 4-inch log cabins. These are tiny log cabins, which is probably why I have been procrastinating them. And then I've got a few left in the book. And then when I get those done, I have one snail trail. And then I got to make sure everything is in their 12-inch blocks. And then I will be caught up for dragon fruit because we're finishing it up sometime early next month. Good morning, Duvraka. And good morning, Brian. Hey, Candace. I didn't say you could get out of the corner yet. Candace sent me a text that said she was bad today at the quilt shop. So if you're bad, you have to go to the corner. That's what I've been told. Ingrid says she's going to be stopping in to see Steven after my live. You know, I'm going in there after my live too. But yeah, he swore me to secrecy that I wouldn't tell everybody his secret. And because I said that I wouldn't tell anybody his secret, I'm going to tell everybody his secret. His secret is he picks his nose. So now everybody can say, Russ told us your secret. So let me move over to the sewing cam view. Good morning, Marjorie, who says happy Saturday. So I have prepped my paper by folding it. You can kind of see that on the back side. And I put a little dot of Elmer's glue dots down into the center square. And I'm just going to try to line this up about best I can. And because this one has a shape on there that I might want to keep a little bit, I'm going to see if I can shift it just a hair. Not that I know what direction is going to be up when all of this is done. Secrets are meant to be shared. I mean, there is that. But there's also the, if you don't want somebody to tell, you shouldn't be telling the secret. And we all know certain people can't keep secrets, which is why I tell people, can I tell somebody? Like, we've had secrets at work, and I was like, can I tell my family? Because I can't not tell a secret. But if I tell one person, then I'm fine. So, usually I get the okay to tell family. And family are like, I don't care about that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I had to tell somebody. Now I don't have to worry about telling anybody. The good thing about these flying geese is they're not flying geese. Log cabins is they're tiny. The bad thing about these log cabins are they're tiny. So what I do, and it's going to be very hard to see, is I start a few stitches before the line and I end a few stitches after the line. And I do a couple stay stitches, stitch in place, whatever they want to call them, because that just helps make sure the fabric doesn't, or the seam doesn't come apart when I have to pop the paper away from the fabric. And when I pop the paper away from the fabric, I like to put the paper on the bottom and just pop until I get to the folded area. So what is everybody up to this weekend? For me, it's just a quiet weekend. I am staying in the house, except for when Riley wants to go outside. I did get to see Superman the other day, which was really good. I like the little slight modifications that they have done to it, to what I knew about Superman. And then this morning I had a friend of mine text me and ask me, how many minutes of trailers and commercials would you say were before the movie? And I was like, 0, because we were at a screening and screenings don't have trailers, which I did not know until I went to there. I know I've gone to a couple of those screenings. I just can't remember of what. These are itty bitty teeny weeny pieces. I think they are 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. They're 1/2 an inch finished pieces. So I would not, as I just did the thing I said I shouldn't do. I definitely would not want to be piecing these a traditional way. Did I have a good time? I had a blast. Went with a friend I haven't seen in, I think we determined it's been about 10 years since I last saw him. Just because, you know, he lives now up in Ackworth and I live in Marietta, so it's not a good, easy way to just to say, hey, let's just go hang out. And like I said, the movie was good. We got free popcorn, which it was a small, and I'm like, yay, we got, you know, all of this. It looked like the the company, splurged on us by giving us just a small popcorn. We went to eat beforehand, and because we went and we got our wristband and everything and our vouchers, and then we went to eat, and we went down. I guess they called it Restaurant Alley or something, or Food Alley, and we were trying to figure out what we want to eat. And I was like, "Ooh, nonstop!" And he goes, "Nonstop?" I was like, "Yeah, Naan. It's Indian. It's a little. I call it if you cross like Willie's or Moe's with Indian food, because that's really what it is. It's basically rice bowls, but with Indian curries as the stuff. So I got my paneer tikka masala rice bowl, which I haven't had since probably before the pandemic, because I don't know if they were open when we started going back to the office when we were downtown. And like I said, the movie was great. There was a couple hilarious moments in it. Crypto stole the movie. I'm just letting you know. Crypto is the dog. And you know how I am with puppy dogs. Good morning, Charlotte. Ingrid says she sees a nice big bag of M&Ms in the background. Yes, not sponsored, but M&Ms, if you do want to sponsor me, I would not say no. So you can kind of see I managed to keep the rainbow. Again, now that I know which direction this is going to go whenever it gets into the quilt. But I kept the rainbow in the little tiny pieces. And I did learn what those crowns and numbers are. YouTube has decided to do this thing about gamifying chat. Basically telling people, if you want a little crown, you got to chat more. I don't know how it really works with everything. I don't know yet if it's just a single day's chat or if it is if it stores from every chat over that. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. If it doesn't store up across days, I may end up using it as a way to do giveaways. Charlotte says she's double dipping. She's here in at Steven's birthday bash. Yeah, I can't wait to join Steven's birthday bash after this. And then tomorrow, which I did not put it in this description, so I'm going to have to go back and put it in the description after the live is over for anybody who missed it or is not in the mailing list. I am doing a sewing shenanigans tomorrow. And what that is, it's just a Zoom, just like Steven's pop-up sew day. And it's not broadcast anywhere, and just lets everybody who wants to join come over and just sew and chit-chat together. There is no cost for it or anything. It's just you pop in the Zoom link and come and join us. Like I said, it's not on YouTube, so your likeness will not be broadcast. Because I know there's a lot of people who are like, I don't want to be broadcast on YouTube, and I completely understand it. I do not fault y'all for that. That is going to start tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern, and we're going to go to about 3:30 or so. And I do 3:30 because I need some time to get Riley outside and walked, and that before Stephen and Walter Live. Because Stephen and Walter Live is always hilarious. And I thought it was funnier last week because Steven's technology wasn't working to his liking and Walter was egging it on. And it's just always fun when you see them bickering like that. And with these pieces, I am not being overly concerned about whether or not I keep the pattern on these larger pattern pieces. It'd be nice if I can, but I am not doing that extra work to keep it. Like this one, I know I'm going to lose at least half of the rainbow. But I'm okay with that. And then I'm excited that on Monday I am taking a class. I call it that I have a 3-day weekend, but honestly, it's not fully a weekend if I still have to get up and go out for a class. It is a handy quilter class, specifically for Pro Stitcher, which is the computerized piece of my long arm. I've done the crash course in it, which is, here's how to turn it on and here's how to basically do a basic edge to edge. And I can do that, but I want to know, hopefully there's like a little bit more advanced to the edge to edge. And then I have questions because my long arm doesn't like to advance to the next row randomly. So I will be asking them that question. And then I'm going to pull up the long arm and start playing with it this evening and tomorrow evening so I can see if there's any other questions that I need to ask that come up. So I'm excited because I will be able to say, I got my questions answered from experts. Because I have asked my question to non-experts before, and they're like, I don't know. Or it doesn't do that to me. Or my favorite one was, yeah, it does that to me, but I've just learned to live with it. Couple more pieces and then this one will be done, and then I am one more piece closer to having my homework complete. I definitely think that between the so days today and tomorrow I should be 100% complete with the dragon fruit homework. And then that means I can move on to the Bumbleberry Pie homework, which I think is just 2 blocks left, maybe 3. I have to go back and look to see what I'm missing with that one. And then when Stephanie gets back from her little trip that she's on, we will be able to coordinate when we are finishing Bumbleberry Pie as well. And after Bumbleberry Pie is finished, I'm going to do the official announcement for the Secret Garden Sampler, which is going to have a giveaway attached to it. And let you know when we are starting that. So it gives everybody a chance to figure out, you know, what fabrics they want to do their sampler in, and or if they want to buy the kit, because apparently the kit's still for sale. I guess the fabric is either reprinted or there is very similar fabric reprinted. And I think it's just going to be gorgeous. Ingrid says her homework is not even close to complete, but she's okay with that. She has made progress and love how it's turning out. I mean, that's all that matters, is if you are progressing at the speed you are hoping to progress at. So I have this one done, except for trimming it, so I got to do that. But I'm going to skip on to the next, just because I want to see if I can get one of these 9 patches put together. So again, I use Elmer's glue dot on the back side, and I just put just enough to cover the, well, in this case it's cover the square because it's so tiny. And then, like I said, this has got a piece that I want to have visible, kind of. So I am going to see if I can line it up. So I have that lined up. Fold back to 2. Actually, let me fold back to 4. Yeah, I got plenty on 4 side. So I'll fold back to 2. This past week I also had a dentist appointment. So did Steven. It went well. The only major complaint that they had is she's like, it looks like you grind your teeth or something. I was like, that wouldn't surprise me if I do. And then finally she's like, we should get you a bite guard. I'm like, how much? Because just like Steven says, I'm like, do I really want to spend however much it is? And they went, and then they came back and said, it's going to cost this much. And I'm like, I guess that's acceptable. So I went, and they took basically a 3D picture of my mouth. which I showed in my vlog. I'm like, do you have the STL file? Can I get the STL file? And they're like, no, it doesn't make an STL file, whatever that is. But they said that I could, when it gets delivered, which will be in a couple weeks, they do 3D print my mouth. So they said that because they deliver the mouth guard in the 3D printed of my mouth, and they're like, you can ask for that. And I'm like, ooh. So we will see then. And I'm like, okay, I wonder what kind of tools there are that I can scan something and make a 3D print of it. This colorway is fun as well because you got like the bright green with the lemony yellow. And then when I do this one, I will be able to see how close I was to centering that little piece of fruit. And then, when was it? Yes. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was possibly Thursday, possibly Wednesday. Maybe even earlier. Because I lose track of which day it is. David, who you all have seen on the Kona Lives, he sends me a pattern and says, maybe we should do this after the Kona Lives. And I look at it, I'm like, that looks fun, but all I'm sitting there is thinking, like, why is it called a block of the month? Every block looks exactly the same in the whole thing. It looks like it's just 2 blocks. So I basically said, I guess we'll see. I got to figure out what's going to happen with it. And then he sends me a video and says, see, it looks like it's pretty easy. And I'm like, oh, they are different blocks. They are all the same center block, but they're surrounded with another fabric. And it makes it look like they're the same, but they're all different. And all the center blocks are fairly simple. So then I was like, okay, maybe, since I now see that they are all different and stuff. Because I was like, how is it broken out? Because like I said, it looked like it was the same block. And it has a ton of flying geese in it. So I'm like, okay, we will figure it out. So he asked if we can do that after Kona, so that would mean February the earliest. So now I want to show y'all something, because this does happen. Because these are such tiny blocks. This piece right here, come on, focus, has no design in it. It's because, again, it's all tiny pieces, and if you just randomly pick a half-inch piece out of the fabric, sometimes you're going to get unexpected results. So I am not worried about it. Because it will all even out in the end. And again, if somebody is looking at every single piece saying, where is the design? They do not deserve to have anything with a quilt of yours. Ingrid says she loves all the Tula fabric. I mean, yes. I even started looking at the leftover Tulas that we had from this. I'm like, we got some pretty good amounts of leftovers. Ingrid says she centered the fruit as well, and they came out cute. Awesome. I have one center square that I may have to recut because I've got enough fabric if I can't get a good center of that one. But I think I will. Russ, you got to trim first. You don't sew first. So all of that a minute ago was just to say, yes, I have other projects lined up for when other projects fall off. I did tell David that if he wants to do that other block of the month, that he's got to join because it was his idea. And the book had it colored two different ways. It was one way was in just blues, and then one way was in multiple colors. I just need to convince myself I do not need to do that block of the month in Tula Pink fabric. Because I have done so many quilts in Tula fabric. But I can totally see it working in Tula. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder how that block of the month would look in Nantucket Summer. Because that's being re-released and should be showing up in quilt shops in the next 2 weeks from what I remember seeing on Facebook. I have to go look at the blocks again. Couple more pieces. I think the only thing that makes these feel like they go faster than the 12-inch ones is because the seams are so much slower or smaller. because they're the exact same number of pieces as the 12-inch. It's just the seam lengths are like a third of the lengths of the 12-inch. And this piece, I also got shipment notifications over the past couple days of things that I have recently ordered. One of them should be here by Friday, so you'll probably get to see that next weekend sometime. One of the things will be here Monday. I'm really excited about that one. I'll probably share it in my weekly vlog because that doesn't deserve its own unboxing video. Yeah, so I have this extra larger piece because that one doesn't look like that's going to fit fine. So I'm like, why did I have this there? That was my, how do I make it cut better? So I have this one now, pardon my reach, and I can take my pile of 9, which I have to remove the papers from this one. Magic Television, I already have them trimmed. Or I have a version of what I worked on trimmed. And in fact, I'm only going to pull the outer 4 pieces of this one. I can pull out the rest later. So I can just lay everything out. So I will take the book, and for month 2, the layout is this one goes like this. Then I need this one. And then I need this one to go like this. This one goes here. The one with the fruits goes here like this. This one goes here. The square and the square goes here, here, and then like that. I have it all laid out. I'm going to change my foot and increase my stitch length to what I sew with. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to shift you over, put you, shift you, put you, and shift you. And because every single one of these was foundation paper pieced, they are all exactly the same size. Keep everything in the correct order. Excuse me. And I'll put you here. Put you here. And as long as I do not stitch, or as long as I don't cut my threads, I don't have to worry about losing the order. Ingrid says, oh, you're sewing the block together. I did not do that yet, but have all the little blocks sewn. Yeah, the last step in month 2, and it's also the last step in every other month, is to sew anything that's smaller than a 12-inch block into a 12-inch block. So that's what I am doing, because that way at month 9 you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, 27, 36 12-inch blocks that you sew together, if my math is correct. Okay. Now, before I sew any further, making sure that this looks exactly like the block is supposed to be. That direction, that direction, that direction. That's that one, in that direction. That's that one. Okay. They are all the right blocks. And I think I'm going to sew everything to or away from the diamond blocks. Or press everything from the diamond blocks. Because that is the least complicated seam allowance, or least bulky. And I see something amusing I will share in a second. And then these will point to the center. So what I giggled at is these two block seam allowances are touching, which means everything was sewn exactly right, because this is a 1/4 inch, this is a 1/4 inch, and 2 1/4 inch together is a 1/2 inch. And I was saying that all of these log cabin pieces are a 1/2 inch. And when I get the first couple stitches done, that's when I finally break the threads between the 2 rows. And because I'm not a pinner, I just use that to help line everything up. If you pin, which I'm supposed to recommend that you pin, only because, you know, anybody who teaches basically says use pins, use pins, use pins, and it's the whole do as I say, not as I do mentality. That'll help keep everything properly aligned for you. I just make sure I hold everything together really carefully. And then this one. And it's safe to cut your threads a couple threads in, because you're not going to get them disconnected at this point. Or out of order, because once it's already on the machine, getting them out of order gets to be very difficult once they're already in. You could also choose to snip your threads after you've sewn the seam, whichever is easier for you. The main reason why I snip the threads is if you are going to spin the seam, which I don't know if I could spin these seams. I could. I can spin these seams. It's not going to be. It's not going to be any less happy if I spin the seams. So I'm probably just going to push everything out because that seems like that's going to be the least resistance. And just because I'm nosy, it came out exactly the right size. Makes me feel good. Here is the finished month 1/month 2 block from Dragon Fruit. I need to get magic juice to tame some of the seams in the back and also get the rest of the papers ripped out from this block that I left in. But when I get the other this many blocks and this many blocks, when I get these done, then I will have all of, oh, I also need to get the snail trail done. Then I will have all of my dragon fruit homework complete. Thanks to my spreadsheet, because I logged everything into a spreadsheet and I'm just going through and checking everything off as I am finishing them. So, good news, you're not going to have any more dragon fruit homework with me, which means I got to figure out what I'm working on next week, which means I have to now spend time this week to figure out my bumbleberry pie homework, because that's the only homework left I have besides putting together my Saturday sampler that finished up earlier this year, and I have most of the finishing sashings done, so I will be able to get those figured out. Like I said, I got to get the magic juice after these two naughty seams, and they're only naughty because there's a lot of bulk there and there's no other way. It's either I was going to have the bulk from these two center seams, or I was going to have the bulk from these 4 seams, since I could not spin them any way around. I could also just let them go crazy and wonky and not care about it, because that's also what certain YouTube personalities would say, which it's the backside of the quilt. It really doesn't matter. So, like I said, I'll get those figured out. But I am going to wrap up just because I'm having so much fun, and I am kind of having FOMO missing Steven's birthday bash, because he likes to have all kinds of craziness. I've heard there's giveaways too, so if you want to, go over and join his. The links are in his videos this week if you are not part of his mailing list, and come join us and have fun. Again, tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, all the way through 3:30 p.m. Eastern, it's Sewing Shenanigans. You can join anytime you please. You can leave anytime you please. If you just want to show up at lunchtime and that's it, that is perfectly fine. And we will be sewing with everybody and having a grand old time. Weekly vlog comes in on Wednesdays. I have my class on Monday. And then next week this time, we will have bumbleberry pie homework probably. So Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Toodles!